It's time once again for Sports Talk. I'm your host, KOSU's Michael Cross, along with sportscaster and journalist Brent Weber. Brent, the Oklahoma State Cowgirls made a valiant effort, but couldn't get past number one seeded Notre Dame. Did they really have much of a chance there?
No, it was essentially a home game for the Irish. Let's look at what and they also put in a great effort. I mean, they trailed 14-0 out of the gate, and Tiffany Bias, a terrific career. 4 years, started every game for them, gave it her all. She even had, I think, an ankle injury going in. But they finished their best 3-year string in school history, including an NIT title. And this all happened in the aftermath, and you can't not mention it, of the plane crash that took the lives of head coach Kurt Budke and assistant coach Miranda Serna. And, it was very impressive with the family that responded. The players obviously responded, and hopefully this is good news for the future as far as OSU's Cowgirls go, because they were very impressive, and they didn't quit playing when they were down against a heavily favored team on a heavily home court advantage for Notre Dame.
It certainly could have gotten worse. They were down 14, but they never really trailed any further than that, so they at least tried to stay up with them for the rest of the game.
They really did. They really did battle. 89-72 the final, and you feel like that's a pretty good way to finish when I don't think anybody was picking them to get as far as they did.
How are they looking for next year?
Well, they're going to lose one of the best players in school history in terms of a 4-year starter, Tiffany Bias. But I think across the board, we will see how they step up. I don't think anybody expected them to run as fast as they did early. Remember, they won an awful lot of games outside of the league. So I think that's going to be an emphasis for them next year. It will be playing better in Big 12 play in terms of the record. A lot of teams didn't have a great record in the Big 12, so that way you can at least go into the tournament feeling confidence, having better seedings, and all those things.
Now, the Oklahoma City Thunder has just 2 weeks left in the season. It's amazing, just 2 weeks left of the season. With an extended road stretch, playing 6 of the last 9 games away from home. What?
Well, here's, that's the NBA scheduling. Payback is just that way. I think it's actually okay to finish as they're getting healthy. They had about 4 days off, essentially, an afternoon game on Sunday this week, not playing again until Thursday. They have back-to-backs Thursday and Friday against the Spurs and the Rockets. Spurs at home, Rockets on the road. The regular season all year long, you'll say it doesn't matter. It matters now.
Yeah.
It matters now. The Thunder, obviously, the Northwest Division is theirs to wrap up, but the top seed in the West still within gunning distance. And to get the Spurs will be playing the second of a back-to-back on Thursday night. Thunder will be healthy. Kendrick Perkins is very close to rejoining that team. Don't think he'll be back on Thursday. He had hinted that he might return to the Thunder on Friday. Rockets may be without Dwight Howard. He has some problems that he's dealing with. An ankle, he says he's fine, but he might take a few games off. He's already missed some time. Not a great time. You want guys coming back now. So essentially, I think they're actually with a team that enjoys playing together, that genuinely enjoys each other. No one is a knucklehead that seems to take attention away when they're on the road. I think it actually will play in their favor to have those last half dozen road games, and then they're going to go in and be at home. They're going to have a home court advantage until the conference championship in the postseason. So I really like the way they're heading, and I like their attitude and the games within the games that they're playing. Their coaching staff is challenging the team to do little things. A lot of guys are getting playing minutes that aren't going to get them if Thabo is back in time, which I would like to think he'll make it back for the last week or so. Perkins is going to be back, and everybody else seems, knock on wood, healthy. Russell Westbrook is playing like a madman. Yeah. So I'd say everybody else is watching.
Yeah, everyone's keeping an eye on the knucklehead, using a Charles Barkley term there. That's good. Now, the Sooners and Cowboys are playing a couple of extra Bedlam games. These are non-conference games. How is that working? How does that work out?
Well, there's some corporate sponsorship, I think, for the Bedlam series throughout the athletics. All the teams are sponsored and so on. And so Teams, this is not uncommon. You only play X number of league games. It works out great for both schools. Obviously, they're going to put fannies in the seats with those extra games. And since they lose home games in the Bedlam matchup to games played in Tulsa at the Driller Stadium and games played in Oklahoma City at Bricktown Ballpark, it really is nice, I think, for the fans to actually get a home game in Norman this week, then on April 15th in Stillwater at Allie Reynolds Field. So I think it works out fine. And in baseball, that's you have so many games to schedule and so many games to play that I think it's neither of these teams particularly look to pad their schedules like the Florida teams do. Florida State was always horrible for that, playing teams that hadn't even been outside of, on grass, and they'd win 30 games before they played anybody. These two teams, they're these franchises, I almost call them Big 12 teams. They understand. They play a pretty strong schedule throughout, and it certainly will help them in the postseason.
And how are these teams looking right now?
We've got a new coach at OU, and I think Pete Hughes he's a completely different type of philosophy, but in a sense, it reset their roster. Guys that were there were no guarantees. They lost some big arms. They lost some, Jonathan Gray's going to be pitching in the big leagues before this year's out. So they lost some big arms. Both teams, lost 9 out of their first 30 or so games, so it's not horrible. They're both ranked, but they're looking at long term. I think I like the way OSU is, they've got the old Holiday grit back. And, that name has been such a big part of Cowboys baseball over the years with his dad. Of course, his brother Matt's with the Cardinals. But, I think both are in the right direction. How good they can be yet, not really sure.
Brent Weber is a freelance journalist and sportscaster and author of The Sports Guy, Scorecard Scribblings from an Ordinary